Good evening, all of you. I hope all of you are hale and hearty and can see and hear me clearly. Right, drop a hi so that I know you are here. Okay, so what's our agenda for today? So, this is a series that we have begun, and I'll catch you at 9 p.m. every Friday, okay, wherein we will talk about RC passages. In each session, we will try to build a skill related to RC passages, right? So, today there's a particular skill that I'm going to discuss with you. Okay, so that's on agenda, and I hope you benefit from this. So today we will talk about retention, how you can improve your retention. Why did I particularly choose retention? Because I felt that, see, the easiest questions in RC passages are direct questions, isn't it? So, how can you maximize your score there? How can you maximize your accuracy there? It's only when you remember, you retain what you've read in the passage that you can attempt these questions well. I'll show you how. Okay. So that's the point of talking about improving retention. So retention not just helps you to attempt those fact-based questions, it also helps you to understand the main idea of the passage. If I don't remember what I have read, how will I formulate the main idea of it in my mind? Yes. So it's important to remember what I've read so that I can string it together and form a main idea out of it. So it helps you to understand the main idea, the central theme of the passage. Then it will help you to attempt various direct or fact-based questions because it will automatically click you that, okay, I read about this thing in, let's say, para 2. What is being questioned on? I read about it in para 2. So you'll straight away go to para 2. You'll read the relevant sentences and accordingly attempt a question quickly. So it helps you to attempt all direct or fact-based questions. Okay. Next, it also saves a lot of time. See, in case you have poor retention, you don't remember what you've read, and a question comes from a specific section. So you'll first have to locate that thing. So you'll waste a lot of time in scanning, in locating that thing. So improving your retention will help you to save a lot of your time. And lastly, it will help you to attempt structure-based questions. What are structure-based questions? Questions that ask you the organization of the passage. How has the author arranged his or her thoughts in the passage? So that is called the organization of the passage. So it will help you attempt these structure-based questions, right? If I ask you what is the role of para 2 in the passage? So in case you remember, okay, what was there in para 1, what is there in para 3, how is para 2 connected to them? How is para 2 connected to 1 and 3? You'll be able to attempt this question. So this is again a structure based question, the role of a particular para, right? So this is why retention is very, very important. And I felt that as a starting point, we should talk about remembering stuff, because if we don't remember it, then how can we proceed further, right? Okay, so let's proceed. Okay. Just a second. So I'll be giving you a paragraph, and this is a short paragraph. So I've given you 30 seconds. Read it in 30 seconds, and then let's talk about what you remember from this. Okay. All right. Start. All right. I hope you have read this passage. Hi, Sumant. I'll address your query. So first, can we discuss what is it that you remember from this paragraph? Some key points. Just tell me those from this paragraph. Yes. Tell me. Good question, Sumant. I'll address it. What do you remember? I need to know that. Good evening, Rima. So we just read a paragraph. I hope you read it with me. I want you to tell me what you remember from it. Some key points from that paragraph. Okay. Waiting for your response. One thing is clear, it is about plastic. So if I have to give a very broad umbrella topic for this paragraph, I would say that it is plastic. Uh, is it about plastic dustbin? Is it about a plastic dustbin? Akanksha is saying use biodegradable products and the actions that have been taken to stop use and throw products. Okay, good Akanksha. So we do talk about some actions, very well put, some actions to stop the use and throw, basically what we also call single use and throw plastic. Good. Do we also talk about something else? Yes, we do talk about persuading people and business communities to use biodegradable products. Yes, we do talk about this as well. Anything else that we discussed? So, the answer that you have given me, that shows that broadly you remember what was stated in that paragraph. Okay, so maintaining hygiene and sanitation. Okay, so basically you don't have to throw it on the streets or in the dustbin. That does highlight the hygiene aspect of it, the sanitation aspect of it. Fine. Okay. Uh, about the locality as well as the city. We talk about a district in the beginning. Okay, the district's name is Kanchipuram. Then we also talk about the Salem Corporation. Yes. Okay. Okay. All right. So without revealing further, I want to ask you some questions. So what is it that was discussed first, the Salem Corporation or the Kanchipuram District Collector? I think I've pretty much answered this question. That's why I changed the slide. What was mentioned first? I'll tell you why I'm asking you this. Salem or Kanchipuram? Let's see what you say. Easy question, no? So you say Kanchipuram was mentioned first. The Kanchipuram district collector was mentioned first, absolutely correct. And the Salem corporation was mentioned later. Okay. What was discussed first out of these two? Bus termini or awareness building programs? What was discussed first? Let's say this is A and this is B. What was discussed first? Bus termini or awareness building programs? Let's see what you say. Okay, so Suman says that bus termini was discussed first. All right. Others, what do you say, Rima, Akanksha? It is actually the awareness building programs that were mentioned first. Okay, so this was mentioned first and this was talked about later. Okay, why did I ask you this? What is the purpose of asking you this? Because see, I got to know that some of you broadly retained what was discussed in the paragraph. But we also need to understand, we need to retain actually the order in which things are mentioned. Why? Because let's say I remember, oh yes, I read this in the passage, but I don't remember where I read it in the passage, whether it was para 2 or para 3. Right now, I gave you one short paragraph, so things were not as complex. But in a long passage, if you don't remember in which particular paragraph you read that thing, you might end up wasting time. So we don't have to just build retention. We have to build what I like to call geographical retention, right? We should be very clear, okay, this point came first, okay, probably in para 2, and this one came later, probably in para 3, right? So this is called building geographical retention. I'll just show you that the awareness building programs were talked about first here. Here, awareness building programs have been mentioned and the bus termini has been mentioned later on here. Okay, so I put a time constraint because I understand this, that if I give you a lot of time to read this paragraph, then all of you will retain not just the points but also the order in which these points are mentioned. That's why I put a time constraint there, right? So that means what is it that I have to, what is the skill that I have to build? I have to retain the key ideas mentioned in a passage in the order, broadly at least in the order in which they have been mentioned, within a time constraint. Okay, key ideas, the order of key ideas within a time constraint. This is the skill that I am trying to build. Okay, so now there is a question just to test whether you are able to get a factual fact-based question correct or not. So read this and tell me which is correct as per the paragraph. We'll not go back to the paragraph because again the whole exercise is about retention. So I'm not going to go back. Tell me. Yes. Tell me, what should be the answer? Okay. Suman says 2. That's it. One response. Akanksha, Rima, what about you guys? There's no negative marking here, right? Okay. So if I look at the first option, it says from August 16, one can expect that the Kanchipuram district will be free from non-biodegradable one-time use and throw plastic products. Based on what I read that okay, the Kanchipuram district collector has banned throwing single-use plastic either on streets or in dustbins. But from that, can I conclude this that the district will be free from non-biodegradable one-time use plastic? I can't predict this. This is a very definitive major prediction to make. Okay, so this is eliminated. Then 3 says the Salem Corporation will conduct awareness programs in the district for persuading citizens to use biodegradable products. This is incorrect as per my paragraph. It is not the Salem Corporation. It is a plan of the Kanchipuram district collector that these programs will be conducted in that city. So this is factually incorrect. So learning to eliminate is also important. This one was something that went way beyond the passage, right? This is something that is incorrect. So this should be the easiest one to eliminate. I'm glad that the answers that I've got are 2 and 4. Now, 4 says Kanchipuram Corporation, which is a part of Salem Corporation. We do not talk about anything like Kanchipuram Corporation. We do not mention that it is a part of Salem Corporation. So this is all alien, additional information. Okay? No, this is also not the answer because this hasn't even been discussed. So alien, false, goes way beyond the passage. Okay? Goes beyond. Too broad. 2 is our answer. The Kanchipuram district collector has banned some non-degradable plastics from August 16. And the Salem Corporation has imposed a total plastic ban. How do I know that it's a total ban? See this. And on 3 bus termini from August 1, see this was written that it is a blanket ban. A blanket ban is a total ban. Okay. So this is the option that is correct. Option 2. I hope this makes sense to you, and it must have revealed to you that how retaining helps. If you retained that information well, you would have realized that okay, this is something that's not mentioned, this is something that goes against, this is something that you realize in general also, that this is a major prediction which is not present, which is not even hinted at in the paragraph. So that's why 2 is our answer. Okay, now the answer that Akanksha extended, that very well fits with the main idea of this passage, of this paragraph actually. The main idea of this paragraph is to talk about, to discuss, to in a way list the actions that are being taken, the actions taken. Particularly, we are talking about 2 cities, right? Taken in Kanchipuram and Salem to curb plastic use. To curb plastic use. This is the main idea of this passage. Okay, of this paragraph. And how did I realize this? When I read it, when I understood, when I retained all the points. So now if you ask me, I can tell you that okay, there were 4 points that I read in this paragraph. The first point was about the Kanchipuram district collector saying that anybody who throws single-use plastic either on streets or in dustbins will be punished, right? That was the first point. Second, he said that we'll conduct awareness programs so as to persuade people to use biodegradable plastic. So this was about biodegradable products. So this was about Kanchipuram. Then we got to know that the Salem Corporation has implemented a total plastic ban, on in 3 bus termini, right? And it also instructed various schools, colleges, hospitals near it. It instructed them not to use plastic articles and bags, right? So it's not just, this paragraph is not just about single-use plastic, because this one is a total ban, total plastic ban, and instruction is for even for articles and bags, plastic articles and bags, right? So actually, this is how see, the Suman, the two are related. Retention and comprehension, they are related. See, it's important that I retain, because if I don't retain, how will I form this main idea, right? And forming the main idea is also related to comprehension. So they are not something that is separate, they are related. I understand your concern about comprehension. I'm going to address it in one of the coming sessions. Today I thought let's address the fact-based questions because they are the easier of the lot. So if you remember stuff correctly, you'll be able to get at least the direct questions correct, right? So don't worry about it, we'll address it. Okay, now here we have now discussed a factual question, we have discussed the main idea, we have discussed the 4 important points that were a part of this paragraph. Now one of you asked this query, can I provide a beginner's reading list, right? This was a query that was asked. So see this. If I talk about, let's take a slide that has more space, a book list for beginners. So first of all, see, because you don't know currently what is it that you like to read. You are saying that you've read just academic books. So first figure out, for instance, let's say you like to watch thriller movies. Probably then you might enjoy thriller novels also. You might be thinking, oh, but that's fiction, will not be asked fiction in the exam, so what's the point? The point is, it will get you used to reading. So the first step is developing a reading habit. Yes, the habit of reading. That's the first step. So, whatever you like under the sun, right? It could be thrillers, it could be fantasy, it could be romance, whatever you like. Start reading that. Okay. And fiction helps in building a reading habit because there's a story there. It keeps you gripped. So every day you'll return to it. So that is something that you can do. Now, let's say you realized that you like thrillers. So we need not start with something very complicated. We could start with something very basic. Start with Sherlock Holmes. Okay. Then you could start with Sidney Sheldon also. Simple language. Okay. You could start with Agatha Christie. Agatha Christie will also give you a lot of vocabulary words, and the novels are interesting also. You could start with John Grisham if you like legal thrillers, the legal angle to it. You could go for Robin Cook if you like medical thrillers. So you see, there are so many novels out there in this world that there are some that will exactly fit your interests, your needs. Okay, so just first figure out what genre you like, and accordingly you can start reading books. Right? Some beginners books that I can recommend for almost everybody in fiction and non-fiction. I mean, Tuesdays with Maury. So Mitch Albom writes both fiction as well as non-fiction. Okay, I hope I'm spelling his name correctly. Both fiction and non-fiction you could read. Okay, then the last lecture. Okay, this was by Randy Posh. This is something that you could read. So these are inspiring also at the same time, right? In case you want to begin reading non-fiction, okay, and some particular academic field you want to start with, so there again you figure out, okay, do I like business, do I like economics? If you like economics, then a lot of students start with free economics there. Okay, then some other books that you could, if let's say in thrillers also you could start with, if let's say you have read some thrillers, now you want to graduate to a relatively higher level, you could go for Dan Brown, right? Because it really weaves a lot of narratives, you have to keep a track, right? So you could, so basically there is no one absolute list. Okay, if you like spirituality, you could go for Siddhartha. Again, it's a beginner's book only, nothing complicated, and a very profound book, Siddhartha by Herman Hesse. So my point is, just figure out the genre that you like, and then you can Google anything that is well proofread, anything that does not have grammatical errors. I am fine with your reading it if you are a beginner. The key is to develop a reading habit and gradually branch out to those areas that are not your comfort zone. Gradually, right now first build a habit, then gradually branch out. Okay, I am not comfortable with philosophy, but I like fiction, so why not read something that combines the two, something that is fiction but also has a bit of philosophy in it. Okay, and you landed Paulo Coelho. So there are so many other authors who do that, fiction and philosophy both. So my point is, identify what you like. Okay. VARC for MHCT, we'll talk about it. We'll definitely have sessions on it. Right now, the focus seems to be CMAT, right? So don't worry, we'll have sessions in time. Just subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon. That way you'll get notifications. Okay, don't worry about it. We'll have ample sessions. Right now, tomorrow tomorrow is Saturday, you know that. At 5:30, I have a session called CMAT based grammar session, right? So you can attend that. Anyway, if you attend the grammar session, it will help you for every exam out there that asks grammar. Okay. Vaishnavis, for CMAT, I conducted a whole session yesterday where we talked about the exam pattern, the VRC topics of the last 5 years. We discussed some sample questions. I gave a strategy, exam strategy, as well as preparation strategy. So you can actually watch that session. Okay. It was called CMAT VRC, CMAT VRC, something of that sort. You'll find it very easily. Okay. All right. Now, let's talk about what is it that we need to retain. So I told you, see, this was a short paragraph, so I ended up retaining all the points. But if I have a long passage, then there, first of all, probably I'll not be able to retain all the points. Secondly, probably that's not even required. So I just have to retain the important ideas, the key ideas. So now what we are going to do is we'll identify what are the key ideas. Okay. And we'll talk about how we can retain them. Secondly, what I need to retain? Passage structure. Remember, I told you this, that okay, if there are three paragraphs and I ask you what is the role of the second paragraph, then you need to remember, okay, what did one say? How was it related to two? Does two contradict one? Does two further one? Talk more about it. Is it a compare contrast passage? So, how are the various paragraphs related? Basically, a skeleton, a structure is what you need to have. This is what you need to retain. Now, what can help in actually retaining this? Trust me, I understand that the paragraph that we just did was a very simple paragraph. In the exam, you might get a more complicated one, a more niche one, something that's probably very academic, something that's not from your area of comfort. So, for instance, if let's say somebody asked me something very technical in science, I would not be comfortable around it. So, how can I address such a thing during attempting a passage? Okay, when I'm in that situation, what I do is I visualize. So let's say there is a passage that's talking about some very technical aspects of an atom. Okay, I'll visualize an atom. Okay, so I'll look at a nucleus there, some electrons, protons present there. And then whatever information regarding that atom is being presented to me, I'll somehow fit that in my diagram. So this is visualization. You imagine a picture of what is being discussed, what is being described. You then somehow relate the various parts of the paragraph to that picture. That is visualization, imagining things. And I actually did this in one of the past year papers. There was this passage about subnivium. Okay, it's an ecosystem of sorts where some microorganisms live, and this appeared to be a very technical passage to me in the exam, so I imagined a place. I called it subnivium. There was a lot of soil there. I imagined some microorganisms. I imagined a lot of ice. So visualize, it makes it all the more vivid, all the more interesting, and all the more simple. Okay, second thing that you can do is mind mapping. So, what is mind mapping? Okay, mind map, a mental map, preparing a mental map of the passage. So, that's what we are going to do now with one passage. We are going to prepare a mental map of it. This could be as simple as a list. ऐसा नहीं है mental map में you have to make the map of let's say a whole country borders and everything. No, it could be as simple as a list. If the if the passage is structured like that, let's say I mention a concept and then let's say I talk about its advantages, a policy and its advantages. So it's a list, right? A list will do. So your mind could make a list. Your mind could make a flow chart. Your mind could show that okay, this is compare and contrast. Your mind could show that okay, these are two opposite ends. If let's say that is the sort of passage that you get, the opposite ends of two things and everything that lies in between. Let's say the passage talks about leftist ideology, rightist ideology, and centrist ideology. So then you could build such a mind map, a continuum with various labels. The idea is that this exercise has to be made mental. Okay, that's why mind mapping. Because in the exam, you won't have the time to draw it actually. Okay, so this is about mind mapping. Now, see, if you're in your, Shivakumar, if you're in your final year, you can take CMAT. Okay, you should be in your final year of graduation. All right. Now, this is the passage that I have. This is a CAT previous year passage. It's a very simple passage with just, it's actually just one single paragraph, but I divided it into two for ease of reading. So read this, right? Visualize as you read or prepare a mind map. In fact, I would really like it if you try to fit the various parts and draw a sort of a flowchart there. Try that, understand it, and then I'll show you a mind map, an actual mind map of this passage. Right? Read. We have to attempt a question based on it, so I want you to read with concentration. Start. All right, let's go to the next slide. Done. Yes, I hope you have completed the passage. Those who have, yes, they can go like the session. Okay then. What do you remember? Yes, tell me. From this passage, what is it that you remember? I want everybody to respond so that we can put together your responses. Hmm. Let's see what you say. Good evening, Preetham. So now that most of you are here, there is a quiz on Telegram today at 11 p.m. It's about the Union Budget 2022. So it's going to increase your knowledge. Do participate in it. And in case you have read about the budget, it will test your knowledge also. Okay. So do participate at 11 p.m. on our Telegram channel. Okay. Russians have opted for typewriting. Yes, this fact was mentioned. So I'm just writing whatever you remember and are telling me. Opt for. So Russians, all Russians. Are all Russians opting for typewriting? Can I say that? Others, what do you remember? Okay, so you seem to be a little slow in your responses today. It is not all Russians. Basically, we are talking about Russian intelligence agencies, right? That is why the Russians have decided to go back to the typewriters in some government offices. Okay, and why in the US some departments have never abandoned them. So we are talking about the government, okay, the intelligence that is being discussed. Okay, now this, however, is not, these are not the key ideas of this passage. See, remember I talked to you about a list sort of a passage wherein some advantages or some disadvantages of something are mentioned. So, if you read this passage carefully, you would have realized this, that here I am talking about some of the advantages of using a typewriter. So, let's see what the key ideas were. I have highlighted them within the passage for you. Okay, all right. In the beginning, yes, we bash typewriters a little. Okay, we talk about some disadvantages associated with typewriters. So we say that they've been rendered obsolete by the digital age. The ink comes off the ribbon. They weigh so much. They weigh a ton. And second thoughts are a disaster because you can't erase something that you've typewritten, right? You have to strike it off. So disadvantages is something that the author begins with. But here comes the but. Okay, here comes the but. That now this is an important transition word and it tells you that now the author is going to talk about the advantages. But they're also personal, portable, and above all, private. Why did I not highlight the disadvantages? When I know that they have also been mentioned, Why did I not highlight them? Because somehow in the rest of the paragraph, the author focuses only on the advantages. The author focuses only on the advantages. So the main point of the author behind writing this paragraph is not to discuss, not to make a comparison. It's primarily to talk about why typewriters are still in use. Okay, what are the advantages associated with them? Right? This passage was an easy passage according to Cat Pritam. Okay, and it was a short passage. It had just 3 questions based on it, and easy questions they were. We'll see one of the questions now. Coming to this one, uh, they are also personal, portable, and above all private. So this is an important idea, an important advantage. Now, if you see here, from here, type a document till then, I am explaining how they are private. How they are private. Above all, they are private. So I explain that, nobody can actually uh, see that document that you've typed and logged away. So this is just elaboration. Coming to the next key idea, yet it is not just their resistance to algorithms and secret surveillance that keeps typewriter production lines in business. So basically, this sentence is hinting at that there's something more, not just this resistance to algorithm, secret surveillance use. There's something more. Similarly, when the author says, nor is it only the nostalgic appeal. See, the author is giving us an advantage also. I mean, the a reason behind its use also, not advantage. That fine, it has nostalgic appeal, but this is not the only reason. So, by saying that this is not the only reason, the author is giving us some advantages, giving us some reasons for use, but all the time hinting at the fact that there's something more, building a case for it, building that mystery, right? So, let's see what is it. A typewriter demands something particular, attentiveness. What I was expecting from you. Our attention spans today have decreased so much because of all the distractions that are present around us, isn't it? So, a typewriter demands attentiveness from you, right? Because how does it demand attentiveness? Now, this has been elaborated here because of all these, the entire process that is involved in actually setting it up, it demands attentiveness. So what happens is, in the process you end up sorting out ideas, you end up pulling together a kind of order and organizing details before actually striking off. So in the process of doing all this, you end up doing all this. Plus there are no easy distractions, right? And lastly, the author does talk about that encouraging noise also, that encouraging sound, that clack of keys, that encourages you to write on and on. So these are some of the key ideas that were present in this passage. This is how you had to read it, filtering out these key ideas, okay, from the explanations. Now there's a question, this type of passage, what should be the ideal time? And for a difficult passage, what should be the ideal time? See, so you get 40 minutes in CAT. If I'm talking about CAT, you get 40 minutes in which you have to attempt 4 RC passages, okay, plus 8 questions from your verbal ability. So that makes it 24 questions, right? So verbal ability, you have para-jumbles, para-summary, all those questions. So 4 passages with 4 questions each. Usually students take 30 minutes to attempt them. So 30 minutes for 4 passages. That means on an average 7.5 minutes per passage. However, some passages are easier, some passages are more difficult. So in some passage, let's say you just took 6 minutes because it was something that belonged to your field. You are a science student, it was a science passage, you had already read about that thing, it was very familiar to you, the questions were also not very difficult. So you took just 6 minutes to, so 2 of the passages were such where you took just 6 minutes. So in 12 minutes you are done with those. That means now you have 18 minutes. 18 ही है ना, कितना है? हाँ, ठीक है. So you have 18 minutes for the remaining ones. So my point is, broadly, you should wind up your passages within 30 minutes. For some are going to be easy passages, some are going to be difficult. So accordingly, that time will get adjusted. All right. I hope this helps. All right. So you can join this link that is presented to you in the chat box. When you join it, you'll also have access to the quiz that is going to happen at 11 p.m. Okay. So these were the key ideas that were there in the RC passage. So I wanted somebody to tell me those advantages, but alas, nobody did. And if you had to build a mental map, now what did I do? I just jotted down all the key ideas, right? And then when I was reading this passage, okay, I saw that, okay, in the beginning there were some disadvantages, but then came this but. This is the way I explained it to you because this is the way I read it. My mind read it this way. And now I just presented it in the form of a map for you so as to tell you what kind of a mental map you have to prepare. Okay, and our mental maps can be slightly different. It's not like everybody is going to prepare the same mental map. My point is that you should be able to jot down the key ideas through this mental map. Bas itna role hai iska. That you should be able to jot down and remember the key ideas in the order in which they were given in the passage. So, privacy, we talk about surveillance application, application and surveillance, nostalgia, attentiveness, these three advantages we discussed. Then we then discuss this attentiveness point in detail. See, that's why I've capitalized it because this has been the focus. Because there's a lot of effort that's involved, it leads to organization of your thoughts. There are no distractions and the noise helps. Okay, so this is what you have to do in your mind for an RC passage. Of course, it will not automatically start happening in your mind. So I have a plan for you. I'm going to give you an approach that you have to implement, and post this. Trust me, this process will become mental automatically. Okay, you have to make the effort consistently for at least a week. So let's attempt this question and then I'll give you that approach. So this is an actual question from Cat. Which one of the following best describes what the passage is trying to do? Okay, in a way, a main idea or a purpose of the passage question. Tell me, we have discussed all the key ideas. Tell me what the answer should be. Let's see what you say. Okay, I've got one response. All right, one more I've got. Others? Let's see. I want more responses, otherwise I'll not discuss this. Okay, one of you have retracted your message. Okay, C, A, all right. Any other option? Preetham, what do you say? Mohit, Preetham, need your responses. Okay, A, all right. Absolutely correct. A is the main idea of this passage. Happy that three of you got this correct. Now, B Again, see, it's that kind of an option that we saw in the previous paragraph where we were making a definitive prediction. Yes, we were making a definitive prediction. It argues that they will be continued to be used. They will continue to be used even in the digital age. It's not arguing any such thing that they will continue to be used. Again, you are going beyond. We don't know what will happen in the future. The author has not mentioned anything about the future. Eliminated. See, it highlights the personal benefits of using typewriters. It has not just highlighted the personal benefits. Okay, because we talk about surveillance, we talk about the US government, we talk about the Russian government offices. So, this is a very partial answer, a very narrow answer. Just a part of the main idea. Eliminated. D. It shows that computers offer fewer options than typewriters. Options? What kind of options? What is it that a computer is not offering in terms of options? Something that's very alien. It's just saying that computers, they have a lot of distractions. When you write on a computer, there's a lot of distraction, right? But a typewriter makes you free from those distractions. There are less distractions there. That's it. Nothing about this is mentioned. This is in fact a distorted option. And it's again, even if I considered this was just there towards the end, right? It's narrow also at the same time. So, बहुत ही problems and में तो. It's alien, it's distorted, it's narrow. Our answer is A. That's what we are doing. Why people continue to use typewriters even in the digital age? Because of some of the advantages that are associated with them. Why am I discussing those advantages? Because I want to tell you कि क्यों अभी भी use होता है, right? Look at the language. That it is not just their resistance that keeps typewriter production lines in business. It is not just their resistance to algorithms that keeps them in business, nor is it just their nostalgic appeal that keeps them in business. Rather, it is their attentiveness that is actually keeping them in the business. So, why are they still being used? That's the question that we're trying to answer. Good. So, this was about this RC passage. Now, coming to what you have to do, your homework, because we are going to meet next week on YouTube in this series, right? And I want you to have done this homework. Then only, there's a point to actually my bringing on the next skill, right? So here, phase 1. This is what you have to do. You have to build retention. Read one article or passage every day. It could be an article from the newspaper, an article from sources like Eon, the Guardian, the NYT. Okay. So, in the beginning, you could go for newspaper articles because Eon articles, they tend to be lengthy. So, read one article or passage every day. After reading, jot down the important points that you remember. Right. Now, do this for at least 1 week. Okay, jot down the important points and then tally. Okay, cross check whether how many did you remember. So on the first day, on the second day, you may not remember all the important points, right? So gradually, when you keep on doing this, there will come a point when you will be able to remember all the points, all the important points, right? Phase 2, building geographical retention. So this is something that I'll tell you even in the next class. We'll actually build on this. However, there's another skill that I'll teach you in the next class. Read one article or passage every day. That will continue. After reading, you have to jot down the important points in the order that you read them. Okay, now not just, you shouldn't just remember, you should also remember, अच्छा ये पहले था, ये बाद में था. Okay, chronology समझिए, right? So that is what you have to do. And again, we'll do this for at least 1 week. Phase 3 is when we'll make this process mental. See, when you are doing this, no, you could consider making a mind map also. Instead of, let's say, making a list, why not put it in let's say, a diagrammatic manner or in a manner which explains the various relationships also to you. Okay, this is adding to the previous point, so a plus sign. This is contradicting. Okay, so you can make your own symbol for contradiction. Let's say this. So you could make a mental map in the phase 2. Consider making a mental map here. Okay. Now, Shiva, I will have to confirm this with someone. Okay, I'll get back to you in the next session. Right? I'll confirm this and then get back to you. Area vocabs. Uh, okay, Preetham, a good question. I'll address this. Don't worry. So, third phase is when you make this entire process mental. Because right now in phase 1 and 2, you are actually writing down those points, you're jotting down those points. But in the exam, you'll not have that kind of time. So, now you just have to recall and see, are you able to recall all the points? Are you able to recall them in the order in which they were mentioned? You have to check your accuracy. You have to tally. And you have to continue doing this till you are able to recall all the important points in the correct order. This is what you have to do. This will not just improve your attention. Trust me, this will improve your comprehension also. Okay. All right. Now, in if I talk about the RC passages that have been asked in CAT, they have been asked from areas like business and economics, science and tech. So I'm going to write some short forms here. Okay, science and tech, politics and political philosophy. Then your usual philosophy also. So these are just some of the genres that I have listed. So when I talk about building vocabulary from the perspective of RC passages, you should build genre-based vocabulary. So this is something that we do in our classes also. In the classes that we have for our batches, we do focus on genre-based vocabulary. We have specific sessions for that. And on YouTube also, I conducted some sessions. This was, if you type must know words to navigate. So the session was like this: must know words to navigate philosophy RCs, must know words to navigate political philosophy RCs. So these sessions are already there on YouTube. Okay, you can watch them, right? You can go to, probably there would be a playlist called Nikita Gupta's playlist in the BYJU'S exam prep. You can click on that playlist and you will get these topics there. Must know words to navigate so and so RCs, right? So this is what you have to do. These are just 4 or 5 major genres that I have written. This is not an exhaustive list. Okay. Hope this helps. So this is it from my side for today. If you found value in the session, please do press the like button. It goes a long way in motivating us. And more importantly, subscribe to the channel so that you receive notifications. You don't have to then worry about when we'll conduct MASCET sessions, when we'll conduct CMAT sessions. Okay. Now, this is a VAT PI program that is currently going on. If, let's say, you took other exams, you scored well in them, or if any of your friends did, then you can recommend this to them. So all these things are provided there by the best in the industry, and you can actually call this number for any queries, if you want to enroll, you can call up this number, right? Okay, this is a batch that is going on for CAT 2022. So in case you or any of your friends decide to go for CAT 2022, you can join this batch and you can see some really good teachers here are teaching you the various aspects of CAT and other entrance exams, right? And if you have any queries after this also, then do post in the comments. You can even post your progress in the comments that, okay, I read this today and these were the important points. Okay, I'll check it and I'll respond, right? So do attempt what I've given you as homework. I'll ask you in the next class whether you've done it or not. Okay. All right. And yes, there's a Telegram group. So you can join our Telegram group here. The quiz will perhaps, yes, it will be conducted on this channel, right? So you can join this one. Okay. All right then. I'll see you in the next session. Bye. Good night.